weekend was PVD Fest, and then the weekend after that, coming into Providence, the 22nd is going to be the Federal Hill Summer Festival that's happening up there. So this is something that you can do anytime when you're coming into the city for any of these things. So I'd like to welcome in Marcello from La Gondola. You missed the mess I just made. Hey, bud.
That's all right.
Good to see you.
In 45 minutes, I've seen you drink wine and vodka, so.
I'm disappointed. I would have drank the entire thing. I think in 15 months, it's the first time I've actually spilled a drink. I'm usually better than that with it.
Nice.
So as you can tell, fully outfitted. So many people have made comments that they've seen you even in this outfit away from the water.
It's really nothing else in my closet.
I saw you last week at the Federal Hill Stroll.
Yes, indeed.
And he was dressed like this. I think he took the hat off eventually, but
right.
He was dressed like this even up at the Federal Hill Stroll. So there's a lot of excitement, and I've got a lot of great feedback on social media about how this evolved. And I mentioned at the beginning of the segment that, and I think you and I spoke about it, is it 20 or 21 years since the gondolas have been?
21 that it started. I started rowing in 99, 19 years ago.
19 years ago.
Yeah.
So again, I feel very old now to say this, but I've been here, and it was launched by former Mayor Vincent Cianci that did this. So when you started this, okay, before the company became yours and you've now taken it to where it is today, tell us how you got into it and what that entailed, the training.
Sure. So I was actually on summer break from school, summer of 1999, and I worked in a warehouse the previous year. So each year my parents said, you need X thousands of dollars, you're not going back to Lehigh. So I'd sat around for a couple of weeks. I ended up at the first temp agency on my list, and she didn't have anything well paying enough for me to go back to school. But I happened to mention that I'd joined the crew team. And she said, crew means rowing, right? I said, yeah. And she said, well, I was at a job fair at Providence College a couple weeks ago, and there was a company looking for gondoliers. So I said, sign me up. It's my dream job.
Get out.
And the long and short of it is, I mean, this was so long ago that she did not have internet on her computer. So we were searching through the yellow pages trying to find a gondola company. Couldn't find it anywhere, but I said, don't worry, I will find this number. Went home and I called City Hall. I got bounced around to a couple different departments, and then finally through to the mayor's office. And of course, in Mayor Cianci's office, they knew it right off the bat.
Yeah.
I called the number, and she said, you're hired. Back then, it was a husband and wife who ran the show. He rowed one of the boats. She answered the phone all day, but they had two gondolas and only one guy to row them. So I started training the next day, trained for about a month, maybe about 20 or 25 hours of water time, and I took my first trip on the 4th of July.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you ever think, going back to that moment, that you'd be where you are today?
No. So I'll admit, I became a school teacher after college. So I always thought that this would just be the greatest summer job in the world, and I would, you know, teach for 40 years and then row until my arms fell off and travel the world afterwards. But I couldn't imagine a better life than since I decided to
and I have to throw out a personal connection. Your beautiful wife used to be someone that made me look as good as I could possibly be by being my hairstylist and cutting my hair for a number of years. And now you have a beautiful family.
Yes, indeed.
And it's funny, we were speaking on the phone, and one of your children was interrupting, and you're like, as soon as I get off the phone with Rick, I'll talk to you. I deal with that every day with all four of my kids, even the 14-year-old, so it doesn't change.
Right.
Unfortunately, it doesn't change. And it was the cutest thing to see, and you've got great pictures, and your children are absolutely beautiful. So.
They're awesome. Actually, so the big news around here is that today is our younger daughter's first birthday.
Oh.
So happy birthday to Aylin.
There you go.
June 13th, 2017.
Aylin, you just got your first shout out.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
And our other daughter, Anya, is the one who was interrupting you on the phone.
So cute. So
they're both fantastic.
Going from this evolution and to where you are now, and starting when you were a kid, going through the rowing, you've navigated the Providence River, going from Waterplace Park all the way down. I mean, you guys have gone, how far down do you go? You've gone to like...
We usually go down to the old 195 foundation where they're building the new pedestrian bridge. But we actually launched the boats outside of the barrier. So twice a year at least, we're outside of the barrier up to Seekonk.
Wow. So this, and you know, I'm not sure if a lot of people realize this, and this plays into Waterfire schedule too, but it's brackish water because it's on a tidal pool there.
It is, yep. We have about a 4 or 5 foot swing, even this far away from the ocean, from high to low tide. So it's pretty significant.
Right. And that's a lot to manage from you guys going out there. I mean, not just from the boat standpoint and your physical thing, but your physical work of how you're moving the boats around.
You know, I always tell a new gondolier, you know, you're always kind of in this chess match, you against the conditions in Providence. And not just the tide and the current, but more the wind than anything else, and the way that it plays off of different buildings in the city, because, you know, it's not just this wide open river. There's twists and turns and buildings on all sides, and it really it makes for a fun and interesting experience.
You never know if you're going to run into a floating piece of wood that's left over from water fire.
You never know.
So,
although they try to keep that.
Yes, I know. They did.
They're very good about
Barnaby
it.
does a great job.
Yeah.
So you guys, your team that you put together, you guys make this look flawless. Those conditions out there aside from it, I just bring it up because it shows you the effort and the work that goes behind what they do to make your experience perfect when you're doing it. You know, I've had the ability to go on these years and years ago when you guys were first launching it. You had a couple boats. How many gondolas are you at now?
We actually have 4 gondolas. We just launched our 4th one.
Oh my gosh.
So that was 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago on Friday. So we've got 4 gondolas in the fleet now, and actually we just, when we got the 4th one, we also got a different style of Venetian boat called a Sondolo that we'll hopefully have on the Providence River before the end of the season, but at the very least we'll be operating it in Pawtucket for the Halloween festival.
That's awesome.
Yep, I got contacted by 1031 to see what we could do about setting up a rowed boat on their river during the event, and so they're going to dress me up as Charon, you know, with a hooded.
These guys are, I mean, Joe Perry, 1031 Productions, you guys are awesome. I'll definitely give a big shout out. They outfitted me for the Gloria Gemma event that I just did. This event that they do is unbelievable. It's really, really fantastic. So hopefully you're going to launch it in the water here, but then that's going to be kind of an end of season thing to do over there with them. And what's the boat called again?
It is called a Sondolo.
A Sondolo, okay. So we'll see pictures of this, I'm assuming eventually they put it
Right,
up
there's a variety of different types of Venetian boats that are rowed. The gondola is the most famous of all of them, but there are maybe a half a dozen or 10 more.
So my first experience is when you guys had this is that I did it in Providence, and I felt, okay, when I went to Italy, I had to actually make sure that I did it in Italy to say that I did it in 2 parts of the world.
Sure.
And I went to Venice, and I got to tell you, the experience was much different because you can get seasick in Venice out there on the water.
I've never said that the trip in Providence is better than Venice, but I'll never say that it's worse either. It's just different.
I got to tell you, yes, it was different. That's a very good way to describe it, but I did not hesitate to go back on here. I did not, when I had another opportunity, go back on in Venice. But it was cool to be able to say that I did it in 2 different places and experience the authenticity of it.
Yeah, I've gotten to row actually in both places. And
have you really?
Oh, there's a magic to Venice that we could never replicate, obviously. Right. But you know, there's something to be said too for being one of only 4 gondolas out there, and you know, being in an operation or a part of the river where there's no wakes allowed, and that's kind of what makes Venice a little hairy.
Yeah,
there's all the other boats flying around.
That's a good point. So you know, I was able to mention in talking about all the various things that happen in the city. Last weekend was PVD Fest. This weekend's Gay Pride. How many days? How often are you guys out on the water now?
We actually operate every day, from the very beginning of April to the beginning of November, weather permitting. Now we're in high season, so 10 a.m. is the first reservation we'll take, 10 p.m. during the week, 11 p.m. on the weekends.
So how long is the gondola ride?
Normally it's about 40 minutes long, and on the standard trip with it we provide ice bucket glasses and opener, bring your own bottle, we serve handmade Italian wine biscuits to go with it, little Italian singing from your gondolier.
Nothing wrong with that.
Happy to hit the highlights, you know, if people are visiting, don't know the city well, or just want to play tourist in Providence.
And how many people can go out on a gondola?
We can fit up to 6 on each boat, and we have 4 of them now. So if people have a large group that they'd like to go out, we might be able to plan it in the schedule where all the boats leave at the same time. We keep them together. But yeah, normally we'll do a trip for up to 6.
So this is one of those things, and we talk about all the special things we have in Rhode Island as a whole. This is a special, special experience to have in the city. And the city has evolved so much. There's so much to see when you're down. And the perspective from being on the water, I mean,
completely different.
Yeah, it's
even different from my perspective rowing.
Right.
Because you were even that far further down, you know, forced to kind of look up at everything. It really is an interesting perspective, especially for someone who, you know, walks the streets and drives through them to get to their job or whatever, goes to the restaurants. You don't get a perspective like being on the water anywhere else in the city.
I agree, and it's one of those magical experiences that we're fortunate to have in Providence. So between the new boat that he's got launching, the 4 boats that he has there, is there a recommendation window you tell people to look at? I mean, obviously Waterfire nights are very busy, but is there a specific time frame people should try to book in advance, or?
So Waterfire is very busy. Honestly, if you're looking to do something romantic, if you're looking to play tourists in the city, or if you have visitors coming in, we try and steer you away from Waterfire. Right. It's spectacular, but it really does kind of take away from all the other things that we do, you know, in terms of providing a personal and authentic and romantic experience. So I would say, to me, best time to be out on the water is the 45 minutes before sunset to 45 minutes after sunset. Anywhere in that window is where you're really getting Providence at its finest. You know, the lights in the city come up. 15 minutes before sunset would be absolutely perfect.
See, there you go. Now, in reaching out, they do have their website. You can call the office like I did to reach out to them as well. And then you want to keep in mind when these events are happening. Obviously, it's going to be busier time. A lot of people were saying, are they still taking reservations? He said, you can take reservations at any point, but it's going to depend on what's happening in the city. You know, I know that over the next 2 weekends, there's big events in the city, so reach out to them in advance if you are considering this. And if you're doing something special, I have a lot of people telling me, oh my God, that'd be great for an engagement. Well, yeah, it's happening all the time.
Yeah.
So if you are thinking of those things, reach out to Marcello and his team and talk to them about it so they can help kind of steer you in the right direction of how to make it happen to the way you'd like to see. All right?
You got it.
All right. Thank you for making the time to come in today. I
Thank you
greatly
very much.
appreciate
I
it.
really appreciate
And again,
it.
you'll see them all over the place every day out there.
Just like this.
Just like this, exactly. I'm Rick Simone. Thank you for joining me on The Taste today. Hope you enjoyed some of the summer event planning. I'll see you next Wednesday. This was very